All right, and this is our project we created for project 2. We chose to do a Hangman game with various levels of difficulty. And in this group, we have Anthony Montes, myself, Hayden Kowalchuk, and Johnathan Nguyen. And our team name is Team 8 Technologies. And for the project summary for this project, as it says, I'm the leader for this project, and we are doing Hangman, which is a classic reinterpretation game of Hangman that includes a sign-up and where the player guesses a word by choosing letters and hopefully completing the word or phrase before choosing too many wrong letters. And then a running leaderboard is kept for all games played so that users can see how they're doing compared to each other. And for the responsibilities for this project, we actually just have 3 members. We did have 4, but we were never able to make contact with our 4th member, so we continued just as a 3-person group. Anthony Montes worked on Leaderboard.php, the presentation slides, and also designing the UML diagram and the flow of how this entire web app would work. Myself, I worked on the actual game, Hangman, including the categories page and the actual gameplay, and then some additional design work on the leaderboard. And Johnathan Nguyen created the homepage, our index.php, common.php, which has a bunch of utility and common functions, and the entire user registration and login system so that we can keep track of who's playing what and how many users we have at a given time. And he also helped create this presentation.
So game mechanics, how the game works. You will start at the index page. You will be presented with an option to either sign up or log in to play the game. After successfully logging in, you may start playing the game. You can choose a category. You can start playing the game like you normally do, choosing a letter and guess what the answer might be. And the fewer attempts, the better the score. That's the ultimate goal. And if you use all your attempts, it will count as a 0. For the user, what we wanted to do, or the general requirements, is have the user just sign up and logging in and choosing the game and playing the game. And what we wanted to output is to display a letter on a screen and show Hangman visuals if the user chooses the incorrect letter or just guessing in general. And we will have those letters guessed incorrectly to display it as a reminder that we or you, the user, cannot use those same letters again, with the option to go back and forth after you finish the game. The overview of the solution: simple, user-friendly game. Design is a modern take of the iconic childhood game we were writing on paper. The key design features, essentially using mostly CSS and PHP. We wanted to use CSS just for the styling of the fonts and the background images and using assets for making up the game, but most importantly using PHP to keep everything together and how you see as a user when you're playing the game, like tapping on the letter and keeping score, or signing in or signing back out. Testing. Since this is mostly a brand new framework to mostly all of us, I guess, the team wanted to test for bugs, and that was the main priority. It was the challenge to actually fix those bugs. We wanted to have the user get a better experience without seeing those bugs on screen. But luckily, the instructors' resources and PHP documentations did a great job in keeping the game's foundation and having those HTML and CSS validators to check their files did just fine in making sure the game works and there are no bugs. For the design of the UML diagram, here is the diagram of what we essentially have for the functions. This is essentially what you will see mostly on the back-end side of the game. Functions containing like login, creating a new game, or as you're playing the game, and you have both states of winning and losing. We even have functions for if you guessed the letters incorrectly, or if you matched the letters incorrectly, and how those would be outputted to the screen. And how do we store those informations on the back end? And it shows you how to store it. We store your username and password, the number of wins and losses, and all this data can be stored on a leaderboard.
Go. So how the Scrum framework helped us. We had about 2 weeks for this second project of ours. The first thing we tried to accomplish was to gather everyone together. However, there was one member we could not get in contact with, even with reaching out to them using multiple platforms. We never had any doubt that it would be too hard, and we knew it would require more work, but it was honestly a great learning experience for all of us. Among us 3 members, we had frequent meetings to discuss our roles, what issues needed to be done, and when it needed to be done by. If a member needed help, it wasn't too difficult to help them because everyone was congruent and knew what was being done each time we met. We followed the rubric to meet the general requirements for our application. So here we just have a general layout of what the homepage looks like. It has 4 major buttons: the sign up button, which will direct to the sign up page, the login button, which will direct to the login page. The play button will only work if you're signed in successfully. And then we also have a leaderboard button. And here at the bottom right, we have the 2 validation buttons for HTML and CSS. So like I mentioned earlier, if you're not logged in, the play button will not do anything. You can click on it as many times and it's just gonna stay at the home page. So next I wanted to talk about the code for the sign up submit. So at the top left hand here, this is just the simple sign up form. We decided to make the sign up page really simple just because it's a Hangman game. And pretty much as long as a user submits a username and a password, their sign up will be successful and it will register, and the credentials will be stored in userdetail.txt, which will be shown later. However, if a user leaves a field blank, the validation fail count will increase, which will result in an invalid data page that will pop up, and it will warn them to try again. So if they log in successfully, a congratulations page will pop up, which will then tell them to log in. The key here is even though you sign up, you're not logged into the system until you click login and you successfully log in after that. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was our login page. So here at the top left, we have a simple login form that looks quite familiar to the sign up page. Now for the code, we have to start with a session so that we can save the user if they log in successfully in order for us to save their score and how well they did in the game. We grab the data from userdetail.txt, then we try to rearrange it so that our code can read the data accordingly. What we did here was we stored the data into an array and set each specific username to its specific password. Each line in userdetail.txt are the credentials for that specific user. So if the username or password doesn't match, then they would not be able to log in successfully. For every login page, we have a logout page. So here on logout.php, we destroy the session and we redirect the user back to index.php. for them to either check the leaderboard, sign up for a new account, or log into an existing account.
So for this project, when a player starts a new game, he's presented with a list of different categories that also double as difficulties in case the user wants a challenge or just to mix up the content they are actively guessing. So on the left, you can see how the UI for this initially was designed, wherein there's 4 levels of difficulty. So the top level is easy, which are generally 4-letter words or less and some simple animals. The next row would be slightly harder and is common movies and TV shows that most users would be able to understand. Then moving on to harder would be countries of the world and states in the United States of America. And then the most difficult would be sports teams of all levels and then also car names, which could present quite a challenge to some users. And this list is dynamically created from a single text file that holds what the category names are. Those are read and then made into the categories. And then each category name also is another text file that holds all the available words within that category. So it's very easy to swap out words, add words, change categories, all without touching the code. And then as the player is going through the Hangman game, we obviously have a win-lose state. And in our game, it's very abrupt. When you either win, it's fairly obvious because you will have correctly spelled the word or phrase with all the letters, or you will lose and the hangman will have all 6 pieces present. And you get a message stating that you lost or won, what the correct word you were guessing, and in the case of winning, you will get a percentage of your correct guesses versus total guesses. And the code for this is a fairly decent mix of PHP on the back end as you play, which then throws a full screen overlay done in HTML and CSS that should convey that message clearly. And additionally, the player is presented with an option to play again, in which case they'll grab a new category, or to leave and go back to the main menu. And finally, here's a live demo of the entire web app going through new user registration, login, playing a game of Hangman, and then also viewing the leaderboard seeded with some sample data.
Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and perform a live demo of our app, Hangman. So first and foremost, I wanted to show how you have to be logged in order to play. So right now, I'm not currently signed in, so if I click on the play button here, it's not going to do anything. So let's go ahead and create an account. I'll go ahead and click on sign up. This is our sign up page. I'll just enter Bob, and then the password can be 12345, and I'll just go ahead and click on sign up. So I signed up successfully, and it just welcomes me to Hangman. I'll go ahead and click here to log in and play, and I'll go ahead and log in real quick. So Bob 12345 was what we chose. If I go ahead and click on login, it's going to bring me to this new game page. So I'll go ahead and click on back, and as you can see, if I click on play here, it's going to bring up the categories again, whereas it didn't before. And then if I try to sign up with the same account, so Bob 12345, it's going to bring me this error message because I'm already signed up. So we're going to go ahead and go back here, and we'll go ahead and play under Bob. So we have multiple categories for Hangman. These are considered as our clues to what the answer could be. So for easy, it's just a very short word. So I'm going to go ahead and try to guess this phrase right here. So I'll go ahead and start with a vowel O, and we know that's not it, so I'll do A next. And we know that that's still not it, so let's try I, okay? And then we'll try D, and then if I get G, I got the answer right, so it's going to give me well done. And it also calculates a score for me, which will be saved to the leaderboard later. So let's go ahead and play again. We'll do animals next. So let's go ahead and try another vowel here. Okay, I got A right. Let's try E. Okay. And then we'll keep going until we get it right. So as I can see, I think I know what this one is. And so I believe it's elephant for this one. Alright, so we'll keep going. And as we go on, it's only going to get harder. So let's do a sports team one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let's try to get this one wrong here. So yeah, this one, once I get it wrong, it's just gonna give me a 0% here. And as you can see, we can just keep on going, and then we can click on sports team, we click on back, TV shows. There's some categories that are super hard, and then there are some that are less difficult. So once I'm done, I can click on log out here, and then let's go ahead and check on our leaderboard. Alright, so this is our current leaderboard right now. We see Tess as being first place right now. We see our Bob user, the one that we just played. I played 3 games earlier, and this is my average score, 40%, composite score of 750 points. And what I wanted to mention too was this game, everything works fine on COD server, the sign up, the login, the leaderboard, except for the play button. It doesn't save the session for us on COD, so even if you sign up with an account, log in with an account, it's not going to play.